What are we doing today, Ashrat?
We're going to do something very useful for you. And we have got both our cars here.
Yeah.
Let me show you without further ado. Here
Okay.
So we're going to start with showing you under the hood of a manual transmission equipped car. We're going to use my Nissan Sunny N16 for this. First things first, you got to open the hood. And always remember to put the stick. Otherwise, you're going to stick your head there and then have it bonk on your head like that. I did that for the purpose of this video. It was a little painful, but remember the full weight of a hood dropping is going to be very painful. So, first things first, what you should not touch. This is the radiator cap. Now, I've been driving the car, so this is hot. It's really hot to the touch. If you open this, you're going to get that fountain of water that you see in many comedy movies. So, you never open this when the vehicle is hot. Even when the vehicle is cold, there may be some pressure built up, so you shouldn't open it. What you should do instead is check what's known as the overflow bottle. Now here is where you top up your radiator coolant. You can see there is a min line and a max line. Mine is okay. If I shake the bottle a bit, you can see that it's around the max line, so I don't need to do anything about it. If it goes below the max line, a little below the max line is okay, but if it's close to the min line over there, then you need to top it up with a mixture of water and the specific kind of coolant that your car uses. Now you need to check your car manual for that. Don't just go on whacking water into it, because it's going to dilute the coolant, and the coolant does many things, like for example, it removes dirt from inside the coolant channels inside your engine, it prevents rust from forming, all those things. If you replace it with a lot of water, you're going to cause rusting in the engine. So that is the topic of coolant. Next, we have to check our engine oil. Now that's here on the dipstick. On most cars, the dipstick will be in a bright color like yellow or orange. So what you do is, you pull it out. Now you've got to wipe the dipstick first. You can see right now it's covered in oil because I've just pulled it out after driving the car. So the oil level moves up and down, which is why the dipstick is covered in oil. So what I would need to do is, basically, let's put the dipstick back, and I'm just gonna get a tissue. Okay, so it's always useful to have some tissue with you in the car. There are many reasons why one might keep tissues in a car. This is that you can use it on the car rather than on yourself. You, with the clean tissue, you wipe the dipstick fully like that, and then reinsert the dipstick back fully. You want it to go and click into place. Wait about 2 seconds. Take it out gently, hold it with the tissue there because the dipstick is hot, and then look. You can see that it goes all the way up to the etch mark on mine, and you can also see that the color of the oil is fairly clean. It is clear, it is not black, it is a caramel brown kind of color. Now that's because I changed my oil about 1,000 kilometers back, so my oil is still good.
Ashrat, I've also heard
oil.
that now if you've driven your car and it's been a few minutes since you stopped, you should ideally give it some rest before checking your oil, because you know the oil has gone up and down. It needs to rest to know the exact picture. Is that true, or?
Well, I guess about a minute or two should be enough for the oil level to settle. About a minute or two is more than enough. But that's why we wipe the dipstick, to make sure that we get the correct reading before we evaluate it.
Right.
And if your oil level is low, Mahen, then you know that you have to open this cap here, which can be quite tight if the engine is hot, and you pour in oil from the oil filler there. Do not pour in engine oil from anywhere else.
We have to be mindful that we don't over pour engine oil as well.
Exactly. So if you're unsure, the best way to go about it is to pour in small quantities and keep checking via the dipstick. It's going to take a little time, but then you know roughly how many liters of oil your engine can hold. Now my engine holds 3.9 liters of oil. A bigger engine like your 3.5 liter V6, I'm guessing holds about 6-7 liters, Mahen, am I right?
Actually, a little less.
Little less.
Yeah.
So that varies. Like, for example, my wife's 660cc Wagonar holds less than 3 liters. So the amount of oil varies on the displacement of the engine, number of pistons, whether it's turbocharged or naturally aspirated. There are a lot of factors for that. Check your car's manual for that. Next, we come here to the power steering fluid. Now, my car has hydraulic power steering, as does Mahen's Verada, but Mahen's Quid has electric power steering. So in an electric power steering equipped car, you don't have this. You don't need to worry about power steering fluid. Once again, it's a very simple matter of on the side of the canister, you can see cold min, cold max, hot max. Now you can see my level is at little above the cold max. So that's okay for me. It means my power steering fluid needs a slight top up, but I'm not that far below the hot max, so I don't need to worry too much. If it was close to the hot min, then I would have a problem. The next thing we can look at is on this side around here, Mahen. You can see there are two canisters here. Now we'll focus on this one first. This is your brake oil. Now this is crucial because if your brake oil goes, your braking goes and your life can go as well. So brake oil is very crucial. Once again, twist to open, have a look there, and you can see on the side of the canister just about here that you can see the levels. Mine is at the max there. I'm not sure if you, I think you can see it. So if your brake oil is at the max, all is good. Now up here is the clutch oil, because in manual transmission equipped cars there are two types of clutch. You have the cable actuated clutch and the hydraulic clutch. A cable actuated clutch basically uses a cable which is similar to your throttle cable. As you press the clutch pedal, it operates the clutch mechanism in the gearbox. So a hydraulic clutch uses hydraulic pistons basically do that, which is what my car has. Clutch oil should be full as well, which it is. You can see it's a little above the max in fact. And clutch oil is something that unless you have a leak in your clutch system, you're not really going to experience any trouble with it, but always pays to have a look at it.
One more thing, since I experienced this with my Verada, now the
Yes.
battery, I think that's also one of the important things to be mindful of, right?
Very
First of
true,
all,
Mahen, very true.
Yeah, first of all, you need to know what your usable lifetime of your battery is, right? That is your first thing. It should be there in your warranty card, which your battery agent gives you. But another way to check your battery health would be, Ashrak, especially if it's a battery like this, you got a small opening here, a visual indication of how your battery is doing. So there are some indicators here. So if it's, for example, red, it's bad, right?
Yes.
It's not going to run most likely. If it's white, you may have to take it to a battery shop and get it checked. And if it's green, of course, you look through here, it's a very satisfying actually. If it's green, it's okay. So Ashrak, another thing to note is sometimes when you try to start your car, nothing happens. You don't see even a single light on the car. So you shouldn't get too scared. You should first check your battery terminals, Ashrak. So these two terminals over here can get loose due to certain reasons, due to certain bumps, due to the fact that it may have not been tightened or fastened correctly after a battery change, for example. So what you do is first you might have to take something a little heavy just in case you're by the side of the road and your car is not starting. You might have something a little heavy in your car. You take it and slightly tap on the sides of this terminal. Don't damage this, the part over here, but just mindfully tap a little hard so that this terminal goes down and sits in well. If you have some tools, you can often, of course, use it to tighten these nuts and bolts. However, if you don't, try that method and see if the car would start afterwards, because most likely than not, your terminals can get loose due to various reasons, and it's nothing to be worried about.
Very
So
true.
that is
And
yes.
as you probably noticed, Mahen, that is a brand new terminal there, because the previous terminal had, in fact, it had reached the end of its life. It was quite tarnished and it wasn't doing its job properly. So that is a brand new terminal that was put with the battery in May of this year.
Correct. So then the other thing to note is, Ashraf, now I had an issue in my Verada where I went and got my battery checked. It was okay. However, when I take it home and park it and keep it for a while, and I check later, this green changes to white. And I was wondering what was going on. I thought there was something wrong with my battery. In fact, that nice uncle in the shop, he actually gave me a brand new battery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he replaced it actually. And then he fitted it in an S500. And he said the S500 ran quite well with my previous battery. That didn't do well in my car. So what I noticed was, Ashrak, it was an issue with my alternator. So the alternator's IC had kind of conked off, and it was kind of pulling power from the battery when the car was off.
Oh, so that's why white says needs charging, is it, Mahen?
Exactly. So another way to kind of notice or distinguish whether the alternator is gone or the IC is gone is that when you shut off your engine, Ashraf, you get a high frequency noise. It's very subtle, but
Uh-huh.
you may not expect it to come out of the car, but it's actually that sound that the alternator is drawing power from your battery due to the fact that it's not operating properly or the IC is gone. So I think that is also something that you need to be mindful
It's
of.
a very
And in
important point, Mahen.
Yes, and in general, I think you need to consider your battery health as well and its usable lifetime and take it regularly. I think there are certain intervals that the battery agent may recommend you. So go and do it. I think that's
a
important.
very good point, Mahen. That's a really good point. So before we close the hood of my car, there's just two more areas I want to talk to you about on the topic of don't put your hands in. One is, you see right below the dipstick area is the exhaust manifold. Now this area is extremely hot, so you don't want to touch it when your vehicle's been running because you will burn your hands. The other area is the two fans on this side over here. When the engine is running, they are spinning at high speed. So if you ever have to put your hand in there, very common scenario for this is you drop something there. Switch off the engine, make sure the fans have stopped before you go reaching in there. Be mindful of the exhaust manifold because you do not want to get your fingers caught in either of these fans.
That
It
is
will
true,
be quite
Ashraf.
painful.
That is true.
So now, Mahen, let's go and have a look at what's under the hood of your Verada.
Let's do that.
What are we going to find?
Yes.
Oh my word, it's an electric motor. I'm kidding, it's a 3.5 litre V6.
Well, if it was an electric motor, Ashraf, this will be called the front. You know what I mean? The front trunk. And it
That
may
is
not
true.
have all these, parts and bells and whistles that you see over here. Yeah, so Ashraf, like you said, we have the power steering fluid over here. We have, again, my dipstick is here, except it's not in a bright and shiny color. It's in a pale white-ish color over here. You got the radiator cap that you pointed out.
Oh yes,
previously, Ashraf.
do not go near.
And my reservoir, as opposed to yours, is on this side. See, my coolant levels seemingly are okay. If you look in there, Ashraf, you see some coolant. But the thing to notice, Ashraf, this can be a little alarming for you to see some kind of sludge or kind of build up of residue on this dipstick over here in the.
And it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yours has a dipstick.
Yeah, it does.
So I guess it depends on the car. Mine, you can see
Correct.
the bottle, so you can read it on the side.
Correct.
Yours, you can't see the bottle, so they have included a dipstick very helpfully with the lid.
Correct. And Ashraf, the thing to notice whenever you see something like this, you may want to get your radiator, the cooling system checked a little bit, because this can be due to multiple reasons, and sometimes it's not something to be too alarmed of, but I think it's something to be checked out, Ashraf. Now, I know my car well, so I feel at this point there's nothing to worry about, because I've done a lot in terms of getting the cooling system up and running to the best possible level, especially with a new aluminium radiator that I imported from the land down under, and all these new cooling hoses and everything else. The head gasket as well, Ashraf, has been replaced. So we were initially wondering whether the head gasket had a bit of an oil leak, etc., and was messing with my cooling system, but actually it was the previous radiator.
It's always better to be safe than sorry, Mahen.
Yeah, correct. So Ashraf, there's a lot underneath here. So this is the wiper washer fluid over here, the alternator. Anything else that you notice, Ashraf? The brake oil.
The brake
fluid,
oil
rather.
canister is also there.
Yeah,
Yes,
brake
exactly.
fluid is also here. Anything
And
else Ashraf, you want? Oh, my battery.
your ATF fluid, right? I think that's just buried down there, right? You can just about see a tiny little dipstick in there. This is for the automatic transmission fluid. Yeah.
Yes.
Just there, you can just about see it in the video, and here you can see the battery.
Yeah, it's green.
Yep.
Yeah. And
In a nice little box, the fuse box.
And also, Ashraf, so this is the MEF, what you call the MEF, right?
mass airflow.
Yeah, mass airflow. So then it's the air filter over here, and yeah, everything else is pretty much standard for a car that is from almost the same era as yours. Well, maybe about 7 years older.
No, I think similar era, both late 90s/early 2000s cars, right?
Oh yeah, actually.
They were designed around the similar period. So there you are. I mean, I hope you found that really useful, viewers. And don't forget to
Subscribe.
very true. Have a good day.
Yeah.